My husband did not deserve anything that happened to him. And to think finally justice may be around the corner makes me happy.
Tonight, for the first time, Sherry Ballard is talking on camera since the major bombshells in the investigations into the disappearance of her daughter, Crystal Rogers, and the murder of her husband, Tommy Ballard. Hello, everyone. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Shay McAllister. She has stayed tight-lipped until now at the direction of investigators. But as her husband's case marks 7 years unsolved, she told me she feels obligated to continue the fight for answers in his case. Tommy Ballard was shot and killed on November 19, 2016. This week marks 7 years. When it happened, he was on his property hunting with his grandson. And for 7 years, police have stayed quiet about what happened or who might have been involved. Of course, that all changed last month when the special prosecutor on Crystal's case announced they're also investigating Tommy's murder and believe Nick Houck may be responsible. To me, it feels like, at least publicly, the first time we've had some real acknowledgement of what the investigation looks like for Tommy.
I think so. I think everyone's been working very, very hard, on his investigation, and I think things are coming together, and I think I'm headed in the right direction. After 7 years, I'm finally headed in the right direction.
Tonight, only here on WHAS11 News, you can see our one-on-one interview with Sherry Ballard, including our discussion about a possible motive for the murder of her husband. That story's coming up tonight at 6. Also today, there was big developments in the case of Brooks Houck. He, of course, is charged with the murder of his former girlfriend, Crystal Rogers.
Today, the prosecution responded to the defense's request for a brand new judge in this case. You may remember back in October, Houck's attorney requested that the Nelson County Judge Charles Sims be removed from the case due to alleged bias towards Houck. The defense pointed to a 2017 custody battle involving Houck's current girlfriend, citing a quote from Judge Sims that reads, quote, "This court is simply astonished that she would want a relationship with a man who is the prime suspect in the disappearance and presumed death of his previous girlfriend," end quote. The special prosecutor today saying Sims' decision needs context. In that case, the court found many in Nelson County believed Houck was involved in the disappearance. But Judge Sims found no evidence Houck had ever harmed Maupin's child. Young also argued that the defense should have requested a recusal at the arraignment. The Kentucky Supreme Court has already denied the defense's request to dismiss Judge Sims from the case.
We do have more information, tons of information on Brooks Houck, where this trial stands, and the latest on the Crystal Rogers investigation. To see it, just head on over to WHAS11.com. The other big story right here at 5, it is day 3 of deliberations, and the jury has called it quits for the day without a verdict in the case of Brett Henson.
That's right. Another day so far with no verdict. The former LMPD officer is charged with 2 civil rights violations for shooting into the apartment of Breonna Taylor and then her neighbor in March of 2020. Prosecutors argue Henson fired blindly into the homes and never actually identified a target, while Henson's attorney says he was trying to save his fellow officers by firing at what he thought were muzzle flashes.
The suspect shot by a Louisville police officer earlier this week is now in jail on a $100,000 bond. Police say they were responding to a domestic violence call on Monday when they found 38-year-old Jaron Bobbitt in a car armed with an AR-style pistol. This all happened on Beecher Street, right next to Wyandotte Park. LMPD said Bobbitt ran from police and refused to drop his gun when they caught up to him. We're told an officer shot him when he pointed that gun at the officers. Bobbitt's now facing several charges, including wanton endangerment of a police officer. He could be back in court on November 27th.
A former JCPS middle school teacher has been sentenced to a decade, 10 years in prison for inappropriately texting who he thought was a teenager. 26-year-old Kevin O'Donnell was a teacher at Mazik Middle School and a baseball coach at Eastern High School. According to court documents, O'Donnell messaged back and forth with an undercover law enforcement officer posing as a 14-year-old girl and then traveled to meet the undercover officer to engage in sexual acts. After his 10-year sentence, O'Donnell will serve a 10-year term of supervised release.
Two men accused of stealing more than $300,000 worth of merchandise at multiple Lowe's stores were in court today. According to the court documents, Aubrey Walker and William Walker are charged with engaging in organized crime and theft by deception. According to the arrest citations, the Walkers would select an item at the store, take it to the customer service counter, and buy it with the company account. But the men were not employed by the companies whose accounts they were using, so the charges were never authorized and Lowe's never got paid. Investigators believe a total of 5 people are involved in this organized crime ring, targeting Lowe's stores all throughout Louisville. It happened from May to November of this year. Well, both of the men in court today entered a plea of not guilty. They have a bond set for $50,000 cash.
We have an update on that fatal bus crash in Ohio. The 6 people, it happened yesterday. 6 people are now dead, 3 of them teenagers, and 18 people are injured after the charter bus carrying 54 high school students was involved in a chain reaction crash near Columbus, Ohio. Investigators are now looking into how this crash happened. They say 5 vehicles collided, including a semi-truck that slammed into the charter bus carrying the Tusky Valley Marching Band. The company of the charter bus involved says it's cooperating with authorities. Of the 3 teenagers killed, the youngest was 15, and police say at least 3 others were killed in a car that was also involved.
Today, President Biden met with China's leader Xi Jinping. President Biden's looking to ease tensions between the U.S. and China and restore critical lines of communications. Relations between the two nations have soured after a series of provocations by the Chinese military against the United States military. Also, the incursion of that Chinese spy balloon earlier this year didn't help. China froze military communications with the U.S. in August of 2022 after then House Speaker Pelosi visited Taiwan, which China claims as a territory.
It's paramount that you and I understand each other clearly, leader to leader, with no misconceptions or miscommunication.
The White House is downplaying expectations for any major breakthroughs, but the president has a lengthy agenda talking about the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, managing increasing economic competition between the U.S. and China, stopping the flow of fentanyl into the U.S., and growing concerns over Taiwan.
Big warm up today. You could really feel it outside. As we keep wondering, is fall weather going to return? We know one thing, it will come back, but not with the rain we really want to see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see rain on Friday, but not going to accumulate, not going to bring us out of our drought, unfortunately. I'm picturing myself walking across the Big Four Bridge right now. Look at how beautiful, just about 30 minutes before sunset. No clouds out in the sky. It's a quiet evening. Temperatures just got out of the 70s, sitting at 69 at the airport. It is comfortable weather. You probably don't even need that jacket if you're heading out for that evening walk right now. Overnight tonight, it will get a little chilly. Here in the metro, likely going to be staying in the mid-40s. Pretty mild for this time of the year. We have another opportunity to get to the 70s. Beautiful sunshine, 70-degree weather in that forecast tomorrow. So we'll be in the 40s around 9 o'clock, getting into the 60s around lunchtime with a high of 71 degrees tomorrow afternoon. That is above average for this time of year, with that south wind really bringing in the beautiful sunshine and also the warmer temperatures. Now, as we head towards Friday, that's the next chance of seeing some scattered showers across Kentuckiana. So in the morning into the afternoon, expect some scattered rain in that forecast, but it is expected to clear out by the weekend. I'm also talking about Thanksgiving. We are now 8 days away, 1 week from tomorrow, and we are looking at those long-range models for you, showing you when we can maybe see rain next week. I'll let you know here coming up shortly. Doug, Shay.
All right, Colleen, thank you very much. Disruptive student behavior is just one of the primary reasons more than 100 JCPS drivers called out of work earlier this month.
So today, the school district launched an updated process to help them submit referrals documenting the incidents. WHAS11's Ian Hardwood and photojournalist Aspen Hester are talking to the man in charge of this brand new effort.
It's somebody that they can go to every morning and say, hey, where are we with this?
There's a new role for what's called the JCPS Climate and Culture staff. They work with school leaders and teachers to improve the atmosphere in the schools. Now they're also logging referrals and answering driver questions at bus compounds throughout the district. Matt Anderson is the assistant superintendent for the office. It's his job now to make sure driver behavior concerns are heard and handled.
Therefore, we thought the best solution was to just put somebody in front of them that they can talk to, that they can physically hand that referral to, so that we can get that to our administrators as quickly as possible. We're looking at really streamlining that turnaround time, 24, 48 hours.
Even with the new procedures, some drivers here at the Jeffersontown bus compound are still worried if consequences will be handed out for bad behavior. The district's new policy, handed to drivers in the morning, says updates will be provided weekly on whether action was taken or not. The new process directs drivers to continue handwriting referrals. Then climate and culture staff enters those into district software and tracks the resolution. The district originally told WHAS11 they would develop a digital reporting system for these referrals. JCPS hit the brakes on that idea after hearing some driver feedback.
We really just want to make sure at the end of the day, we're not creating more work for our compound coordinators or our bus drivers.
When it comes to lightening their load, there's still another thorn troubling drivers, those new routes leading to long drives to and from school. In Louisville, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS11, on your side.
As the school district focuses on student behavior, bus drivers still struggle with new routes and short staffing, leading to those long, stressful work days. Our team asked JCPS leaders if there were any updates to the routing changes, but we were told that there's nothing to share at this time.